The gunshot shattered the night as 10-year-old Emma Blackwood stepped from the shadows, her eyes burning with impossible rage. "You killed them all," she screamed at her father's men. The billionaire's missing daughter had returned, and she remembered every secret, every betrayal, every murder. Tonight, Richard Blackwood would pay. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. Mike Henderson pressed his back against the cold brick wall, his heart pounding as footsteps echoed through the alley. His 8-year-old son Tommy whimpered beside him, clutching his father's jacket with trembling hands. "Stay quiet, buddy," Mike whispered, pulling Tommy closer. They had been walking home from the late-night grocery store when the black sedan started following them. 3 blocks later, the men inside had started shooting. "Daddy, I'm scared," Tommy whispered. "I know, son. Just stay." A small figure darted past them, running straight toward the gunman. It was a girl, maybe 10 years old, her face twisted with rage that seemed impossible for someone so young. "You killed them," she screamed at the men. "You killed my family." Mike's blood froze. This child was running straight into danger. Without thinking, he lunged forward and grabbed her, pulling her back into the shadows just as another shot rang out. "Let me go," the girl fought against him with surprising strength. "They murdered everyone. They have to pay. Kid, you're going to get yourself killed," Mike hissed, holding her tight as the men's voices grew closer. "I don't care. They destroyed everything." Tears streamed down her dirt-stained face, but her eyes burned with a fury that made Mike's skin crawl. "My parents, my brother, everyone who tried to protect me, they're all dead because of him." The searchers passed by their hiding spot. Mike waited until their footsteps faded before loosening his grip on the girl. She immediately tried to run again, but exhaustion finally hit her and she collapsed. "Please," she gasped, looking up at Mike with desperate eyes. "You have to help me. I'm the only one left who knows the truth." Mike looked at this broken child, then at his own son cowering in fear. Every instinct told him to walk away, to protect Tommy from whatever nightmare this girl had dragged into their lives. But those eyes, he'd never seen such pain in a child. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The girl hesitated, glancing around nervously. Emma Blackwood." Mike's world tilted. Everyone in the city knew that name. Richard Blackwood, the billionaire who owned half the city's businesses and politicians. The man whose daughter had mysteriously vanished 3 years ago in 2002. "You're supposed to be dead," Mike whispered. "I was supposed to be," Emma said bitterly. "But they kept me alive because I knew too much. And now everyone who tried to help me escape is dead because of my father's greed." "Your father? But the news said you were kidnapped." "My father sold me." Emma's voice cracked with rage and grief. "He owed gambling debts to the Russian mob. Instead of paying money, he gave them something more valuable, his own daughter. He told the world I was kidnapped so he could play the grieving father while counting his blood money." Tommy grabbed Mike's arm. "Daddy, what's happening?" Mike's mind raced. If this girl was telling the truth, they were in incredible danger. Richard Blackwood had enough power to make people disappear. But looking at Emma's tear-stained face, he knew she wasn't lying. "The family that helped me escape," Emma continued, her voice breaking, "they had a little girl Tommy's age. The Russos. They'd been hiding me for 2 months, planning to take me to the FBI. But someone betrayed us. Tonight, my father's men came and..." She couldn't finish the sentence. "They killed everyone?" Mike asked, horrified. Emma nodded, fresh tears streaming down her face. "I hid in the basement. I heard the little girl screaming for her mommy before." She shuddered. "They're dead because they tried to save me." Mike felt sick. An entire family murdered because they'd shown kindness to this child. "Why didn't they kill you too?" "Because I have something they want," Emma said, her grief suddenly replaced by cold determination. "I know where my father hides all his secrets. Bank accounts, bribes, evidence of every corrupt deal he's ever made. The Russians kept me alive because they thought they could use me to blackmail him. But I memorized everything instead." "What do you mean?" Emma's eyes hardened. "I have a photographic memory. Every conversation I overheard, every document I saw, every name and number, it's all up here." She tapped her temple. "I know which judges he's bribed, which politicians he owns, which businesses are just fronts for money laundering. I know everything." Mike stared at this 10-year-old girl who spoke like a war veteran. "What do you want from me?" "Help me destroy him," Emma said simply. "Help me make him pay for every life he's taken, every family he's destroyed. I can't do it alone, I'm just a kid. But together we can bring down his entire empire." "Emma, this is insane." He's one of the most powerful men in the city. And I'm his daughter, Emma interrupted. I know all his weaknesses. I know he's planning to demolish the children's hospital next week to build luxury condos. 300 sick kids will have nowhere to go because he bribed the judge to approve the demolition. Mike felt a chill run down his spine. Tommy had been treated at that hospital when he was a baby. He steals money meant for schools and gives it to his criminal friends, Emma continued. Poor kids like Tommy go hungry while he throws million-dollar parties. Families lose their homes because he bribes city officials to condemn their neighborhoods. Even if all that's true, what can we do? He has judges, police, politicians. But he doesn't have me anymore, Emma said fiercely. And he doesn't know what I've learned. He thinks I'm still a helpless little girl who can be controlled. But I've been planning this for 3 years. I know exactly how to bring him down. Mike looked at his son, then back at this extraordinary child who had somehow survived hell and emerged stronger. If we do this, we're putting our lives at risk. Tommy's life. If we don't do this, how many more families will die? Emma asked. How many more children will suffer? The Russos died trying to save me. I won't let their sacrifice be meaningless. Tommy tugged on Mike's sleeve. Daddy, are we going to help her? Mike looked down at his son's trusting face, then at Emma's determined expression. He thought about the children's hospital, about all the families being crushed by Blackwood's greed, about the innocent people who had already died. Yeah, buddy, he said quietly. We're going to help her. Emma's face crumpled with relief, and for a moment she looked like the scared child she really was. Thank you, she whispered. I promise I'll protect you both. I won't let anyone else get hurt because of me. Mike pulled her into a gentle hug, feeling her small body shake with exhaustion and emotion. We're in this together now, Emma. All 3 of us. As they carefully made their way through the dark streets toward Mike's apartment, Emma began explaining her plan. It was complex, dangerous, and would require perfect timing. But as Mike listened to this remarkable child detail how she intended to bring down one of the city's most powerful men, he realized something incredible. Emma Blackwood wasn't just seeking revenge. She was seeking justice. And maybe, just maybe, they could actually pull it off. The war for the city's soul was about to begin. And it would be led by a 10-year-old girl who had seen too much, lost too much, but refused to be broken. Behind them, the black sedan turned the corner, still hunting. Richard Blackwood's men had orders to find his daughter and eliminate anyone who had helped her. They had no idea they were chasing their own destruction. Emma glanced back once, her young face set with grim determination. Don't worry, she whispered to the darkness. I'm coming for you, Father. And I'm bringing everything you deserve. The real battle was just beginning. Over the next few weeks, Emma revealed the full scope of her father's corruption. She had memorized bank account numbers in Switzerland where he hid stolen city funds. She knew about the warehouse where he stored drugs for the Russian mob. Most importantly, she had witnessed him personally ordering the deaths of anyone who threatened his empire. He killed my mother, Emma told Mike one night as they sat in his small kitchen. Tommy was asleep, and the apartment felt safe in the darkness. Everyone thinks she died in a car accident, but I saw him tamper with her brakes. She was going to leave him and take me with her. Mike's hands clenched into fists. Emma, we need to be careful. If he's willing to kill his own wife. He won't stop until I'm dead too, Emma said calmly. That's why we have to move fast. I've been gathering evidence, but I need your help to get it to the right people. They worked in secret, using the library computers to trace financial records. Emma's photographic memory was their greatest weapon. She could recall conversations from years ago, remember exact dates and amounts from documents she'd only glimpsed once. But Richard Blackwood was getting closer. His men were searching the neighborhood, offering rewards for information about a missing girl. The net was tightening. The breakthrough came when Emma remembered something crucial. The children's hospital, she said suddenly. He's not just tearing it down for condos. There's something buried underneath it. Something from the old days. What do you mean? Bodies, Emma whispered. People who crossed him in the early years. He told the Russians about it once when he was drunk. The hospital was built on his family's old property. He's been using it as a private cemetery for decades. Mike felt sick. How many people? At least 20. Maybe more. If we can prove that, if we can show the world what kind of monster he really is. They contacted Sarah Chin, an investigative reporter known for taking on powerful people. At first she was skeptical. A missing billionaire's daughter with wild accusations? It sounded like a hoax. But when Emma started reciting specific details, bank account numbers, dates, names of victims, Sarah's expression changed. This is incredible, Sarah breathed. But how do I verify any of this? Emma pulled out a small notebook she'd been carrying. I drew maps of where everything is hidden. I can tell you exactly where to find the evidence. But we have to be fast. He's planning something big for tomorrow night. What kind of something? Emma's face went pale. He's going to blow up the hospital early. Not just demolish it, destroy it completely. With the night shift still inside. He thinks it will look like a gas leak accident, and all the evidence underneath will be buried forever. Sarah grabbed her phone. We need to call the FBI, the police. No. Emma said quickly. Half of them work for him. We need someone we can trust completely. Mike thought about Tommy sleeping in the next room, about all the innocent people who would die if they failed. What's your plan, Emma? Emma's eyes hardened with determination that seemed impossible for a 10-year-old. We're going to give him exactly what he deserves. Tomorrow night, when he thinks he's covering up his crimes forever, we're going to expose everything to the world. The next evening, Emma led Mike and Sarah through the old tunnels beneath the hospital. Her memory was perfect. Every turn, every hidden entrance. They found the buried remains exactly where she said they would be. My God, Sarah whispered, photographing the evidence. This is going to bring down half the city government. Above them, they could hear Richard Blackwood's men setting the explosives. Emma checked her watch. 20 minutes until the blast. We need to get everyone out and stop this. They split up. Sarah went to alert the hospital staff and call in federal agents who couldn't be bought. Mike and Emma headed for the basement where Blackwood was personally overseeing the operation. Stay behind me, Mike whispered, but Emma shook her head. No. This ends tonight. And it ends with me looking him in the eye. They found Richard Blackwood in the old morgue, watching his men place the final charges. He was a tall, silver-haired man in an expensive suit, looking completely calm about the mass murder he was about to commit. Hello, Father, Emma said, stepping out of the shadows. Blackwood spun around, his face going white. Emma? But, how did you? Escape your Russian friends? Survive 3 years of hell? Learn all your secrets? Emma smiled coldly. I'm tougher than you thought. You don't understand, Blackwood said, his voice shaking. I had to do it. The debts, the pressure, they would have killed our entire family. So you killed it yourself instead, Emma replied. Mother, the Russos, everyone who tried to help me. How many people have to die for your greed? Blackwood's fear turned to anger. You're just a child. You don't understand how the world works. I understand perfectly, Emma said, pulling out a small recording device. I understand that you've been confessing everything to your men for the past 10 minutes. And I understand that the FBI is listening to every word. Blackwood's face crumpled as federal agents poured into the room. The explosives were disarmed, the hospital saved, and the evidence that would destroy his empire was already in the hands of honest law enforcement. As they led him away in handcuffs, Blackwood looked back at his daughter one last time. Emma, please. I'm still your father. Emma met his gaze steadily. No, she said quietly. My father died the day he sold me. You're just a stranger who shares my DNA. 6 months later, Richard Blackwood was sentenced to life in prison without parole. 23 counts of murder, corruption, conspiracy, and the destruction of countless families. The trial revealed the full scope of his crimes and brought down his entire network of corrupt officials. Emma testified against him with calm, precise detail that left the courtroom speechless. When asked how she remembered so much, she simply said, "When someone takes everything from you, you never forget." The city began to heal. The money Blackwood had stolen was returned to schools and hospitals. The children's hospital was renovated and expanded instead of destroyed. Families who had lost their homes received compensation and justice. But the greatest change was in Emma herself. Living with Mike and Tommy, she slowly learned to be a child again. She still had nightmares, still flinched at loud noises, but she also learned to laugh, to play, to trust. What do you want to do with your inheritance? Mike asked her one day. The courts had restored billions of dollars to her, money that was legally hers. Emma looked around their small but warm apartment, at Tommy helping her with a puzzle, at Mike cooking dinner with ingredients they could finally afford. I want to help other kids like me, she said. Kids who've been hurt, who need families, who need someone to believe in them. And I want to make sure no other children have to go through what I did. She established the Emma Blackwood Foundation, dedicated to protecting children and fighting corruption. She used her father's blood money to save lives instead of destroying them. Years later, when she graduated from high school as valedictorian, Emma gave a speech about courage, justice, and the power of choosing love over revenge. My father taught me about evil, she said to the packed auditorium. But Mike and Tommy Henderson taught me about good. They showed me that family isn't about blood, it's about choice. It's about standing by each other when the world tries to tear you apart. Mike and Tommy sat in the front row, tears streaming down their faces with pride. That night, as they celebrated at home with pizza and cake, Tommy asked, "Emma, do you ever regret what you did to your real father?" Emma smiled, looking at the only family that had ever truly mattered to her. "He stopped being my real father a long time ago. My real family is right here." She had gotten her revenge, but more importantly, she had gotten her life back. She had transformed her pain into purpose, her anger into action, and her loss into love. Richard Blackwood died alone in prison 5 years later, forgotten by the world he had tried to control. But Emma Henderson, she had taken Mike's last name when he officially adopted her, was surrounded by the family she had chosen and the thousands of children she had saved. In the end, the greatest revenge wasn't destroying her father. It was building something beautiful from the ashes of everything he had tried to burn down. And every night, as she tucked Tommy's children into bed, she had become their Aunt Emma. She knew that love had won over hate, justice had triumphed over corruption, and that sometimes the smallest voices can change the world. The girl who remembered everything had finally learned to forget the pain and remember only the love.